Joining me on the line, he is from Cinemablend.com. You can find him on social media at Mr. Controversy 83. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the ever-popular Mike Reyes. Hi, Mike.
Hello!
We're going to talk about movies today. What'd you see this week?
Brace yourself. I saw 4 different movies this week. I know I sent you a rundown before, but I kind of forgot one more to throw in there. So
Let's start with the best one.
Okay. I think the best one is probably The Killing of Two Lovers, which is in, I believe that's in limited release this week in theaters.
Okay.
It stars Clayne Crawford, and basically it is the story of a husband and wife who are in the middle of a separation, and we're mostly focusing on the husband, David, who is not in a good place right now and is trying so desperately to sort of hang on to his family. And it's very atypical of the sort of movie that you hear me describing here, because he's not this screw up that we're supposed to that they're trying to eke sympathy out of. Clayne Crawford's central performance in this really does earn that sympathy.
Okay.
And it's not just a stereotypical, oh, these two are having problems and, oh, will they work it out? It's even just the title itself hovers over the movie as like a sort of looming threat.
Okay.
And, we open this movie with him standing in his bedroom, because even though they're separated, they still have the house together. He's standing in his bedroom, she's in bed with her boyfriend, and he's got a gun. And you're just wondering, like, where is this going? And then through the rest of the film, it not only builds on that tension, but it also it's very subtle. It doesn't hit you over the head with the trouble that's going on here, and you're, learning what you need to when you do. And it's a very, very good film.
All right.
We actually talked to Clayne on Overdue Rentals, and he's an amazing person to have a conversation with, because he's so grounded about his approach to acting.
So this is not the feel-good movie of the year.
No, but it's a drama for adults that I feel is sort of absent at the movies. Like, you don't get major studios making many movies like this anymore.
Yeah.
It's very much one of the, like, it's something that an independent company would do. And this was only filmed in like 12 years. Oh no, 12 days. Sorry, 12 days, not 12 years. This isn't Boyhood.
Okay, well, there you have it. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joining me. The Killing of Two Lovers, limited release right now. What's next on the list?
Just randomly, I'm going to go. Oh, no, we'll sort of go in order. The next best movie I saw was Profile.
Okay.
And it is a movie based on a true story of a European journalist who went undercover to discover the recruitment techniques of jihadists. And she basically pretended to be someone who converted to Islam and was looking to become a jihadist. And she, through a series of video calls with this man that she becomes familiar with, we see some really tense drama playing out, because she's dancing on the edge of something very dangerous here. And the whole story starts with a previous story that she's following up on a story that she had done before about a young woman who followed the same path and was then killed. And this is based on a true story where literally at the end of the film they say, the journalist that did this was told to change her name, and just as a result of everything that went on, because you'll see in the film.
Okay.
But it's directed by Timur Bekmambetov, who did Wanted, an Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, you'd recognize Wanted. That's the Angelina Jolie one.
No, I know. The comic book for Wanted was way better.
The comic book is so different, but I love both of them. I like Wanted the movie because it's just one hell of a ride, and I love James McAvoy in that movie.
Yeah.
And poor young Chris Pratt being the jerk.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
But also the comic is just so much more sensational and over the top.
Yes, but it's also a story like your first story you were talking about. It's a story that you don't hear an awful lot.
Yeah. So, but Profile it took me a little while to get used to it, because it's the type of movie it's a type of narrative known as screen life. And if you've seen Unfriended or Searching, it's basically the whole narrative is someone on their computer doing the things that are going on in this movie. Right. And the way that they've achieved it through this time out kind of makes more sense. But I haven't really seen a screen life movie before, so it took me a little while to get into it. But it's a decent thriller. It's a pretty good drama, and I believe that's in theatrical. Yeah, that's in theatrical this week, and it's definitely worth a watch.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com has nothing but the feel-good movies of the year this year. What's next on your? What are the two bottom feeder movies this week?
Oh, you want to talk about a feel-good movie? So the next film that I was okay with, but I really wanted to be so much better, is Spiral, the Book of Saw, from the Book of Saw.
Funny story about this. My wife and I were watching TV the other night, and we saw a trailer for it. And she looks at me and she goes, Chris Rock in a Saw movie's weird, right?
Well, apparently he's a big fan, and that's what got this movie off the ground, because he wanted to produce, and I think he helped develop this movie. And It's not horrible, especially by Saw standards. Like, by Saw standards, this is better than a lot of the sequels. Okay. And it's Darren Lynn Bousman's coming back to direct for his first movie since Saw 4, or his first movie in the series since Saw 4.
Alrighty.
So the man understands the world, and the story is a really cool spin on what Jigsaw's legacy could be, because Jigsaw's done, dusted, dead. This is a new person that is inspired by the Jigsaw killings, but it's not him.
See, I've never seen any of the Saw movies. I take that back. I think I've seen parts of the first one, but the torture porn stuff, I've got no interest in it.
So you don't really need to see the other ones to see this. And the one other big bit of praise I'll give this movie is the fact that it's probably the best Saw twist since the first one. Like, it's a solid, decent movie, but the thing is the plot is just so loosely bound together that it sort of fell back into the same old, Saw's going to explain everything to you in the end, and it's just supposed to be like, oh, that makes sense, as opposed to really tying it together with a stronger intent. But it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. I like Chris Rock is half on, half off in this one, and I like seeing Samuel L. Jackson, but there's not enough of him in here to really get the Samuel charm.
Okay.
Or as much as you would want. Like, I almost kind of wish they flipped it and like he was the protagonist. But anyway, it's okay. It's if you're looking for Saw and you're looking for good Saw, this is good Saw.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com. What is the final movie this week?
Those Who Wish Me Dead. It will be on HBO Max as well as in theaters, and this movie almost instantly slid off of my brain while watching it. And it's a damn shame, too, because it stars Angelina Jolie as a smoke jumper.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know which one you're talking about now.
She's a firefighter. She's a smoke jumper who basically is given their equivalent of a desk job. She's given a fire watch on a tower, and through a series of events, she's tied into a hit being put out on this kid who has information on some shady cover-up.
All right.
And I like Taylor Sheridan. I really liked Hell or High Water. That was a phenomenal movie. I even liked Wind River, which a lot of people weren't too huge of a fan of.
Okay.
But I think part of the reason that this one didn't work so well is he has two other writers credited, including the original author of the book that it's based off of. And I don't know how much of Taylor Sheridan got in there, because there's moments like Angelina Jolie is telling this kid how to make a campfire. And this was a scene that must have clearly been written for a man. But it still works wonderfully with her delivering it. She's like, campfires are catnip to young blondes. And she's like telling this kid how he'll be able to attract girls by knowing how to make a fire. And it's like, if this movie, it felt like two different movies. And one of those movies felt like it could have been the sequel to The Accountant. And I wanted that. Okay. And it doesn't help that John Barenthal is in both The Accountant and this one. Like, I'm just thinking, okay, so we replaced the kid's dad with Ben Affleck's character from The Accountant. And then we have him team up with Angelina Jolie and John Barenthal, his brother, and they all get to if it was, that's what I wanted.
All right. Well, you didn't get it. Let's just wrap this up, because even you telling the story, it's like, this movie sounds boring.
And then you've got Nicholas Hoult and Aidan Gillen, I think is his name, from Game of Thrones. Littlefinger from Game of Thrones.
Oh, that guy has his accent in Game of Thrones. Like, as somebody that listens to a lot of voices and all that kind of stuff, I always loved his accent in that show.
Oh yeah. Oh no, and he was one of my favorite parts of it, even in the horrible years. But it's you're wasting Angelina Jolie, you're wasting John Barenthal, you're wasting Nicholas Hoult and Aidan Gillen as these hitmen who break that off as another movie that would have been cool. Or maybe
Okay, let
it's
me
a
ask you
mess,
this:
man. Just watch it on HBO.
Would this movie have been better if it was a comedy?
No. And someone would have made this as a comedy in the 90s. This would have
Oh,
been the sequel to Bushwhacked.
oh, bushwhacked. Okay, Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joining me on the line. That wraps up the movies this week. So, The Killing of Two Lovers is the one to see, or for the Saw fans, Spiral, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say if you really want to watch Those Who Wish Me Dead, watch it on HBO Max. Spiral, wait to rent it unless you're a diehard Saw fan who really needs to go see this in
You
the
know
theater.
that's what it's going to be.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And I went to Saw as a yearly tradition when those movies were coming out. I only missed the last one and then went and saw Jigsaw when it came out. But it used to be such a great tradition. And like this still shows promise because of the way that they use the concept. And like the last 20 minutes of Spiral are very interesting.
Yeah.
It's just the rest of the movie doesn't back it up. But
Okay.
yeah, Those Who Wish Me Dead is like the one stinker. Spiral, okay. Profile and Killing of Two Lovers are the two I would recommend this week.
All right. What do we got for movie news this week?
Knives Out 2, or whatever it's going to be called, because it's not going to be called Knives Out 2. The next Benoit Blanc mystery is starting to fill out its cast. And the first person they announced was Dave Bautista. And immediately I thought, ooh, we're getting a Spectre reunion, because he was the henchman in Spectre against Daniel Craig's James Bond. And then over the past couple of days, we also found out that Edward Norton and Janelle Monáe are going to be part of the cast.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, and this is part of that huge deal where the next two Knives Out movies are going to be Netflix productions. They're going to be shooting in Greece for this one. And like they're gearing up to start next month. So I'm wondering who else they'll announce.
Knives Out is so good.
Knives Out is damn good.
Like
I have yet to see a Rian Johnson movie I don't like.
It's one of those movies that we watched it one time. I really enjoyed it. I've never been sitting around and think, oh, I should rewatch Knives Out. Like if it was on, it seems to be like one of those movies that it's like Shawshank Redemption. I never seek it out, but if it's on, I'll probably sit through the whole thing.
See, I agree with that to the point where I differ, because with Shawshank, I'll definitely throw it on every now and then because I just need that refresher. And Knives Out feels like one of those movies that I would, if I was still at my day job, I probably would download the audio file of like the movie and just let the dialogue pour into my ears while I'm doing menial work. Because when I used to have an office job, I would do that with like Casino or American Psycho.
Yeah. I had a band director in high school that he would run off movies onto like cassette, and then when he would do road trips, he would put in that audio.
Nice.
And we had to ride with him one time, and he put it in, and it was weird. It was very weird because I fell half asleep in the back, but I'm listening to this thing and I can see the movie in my head.
Yeah. No, that's the testament of a fantastic movie, that you can pretty much see it while listening to it, and Rian Johnson's really good at that.
All right, Mike Reyes from
I'm looking forward to
that. What was the other piece of news? It was Suicide Squad 2, right?
Yeah, the Suicide Squad just got the R rating, apparently for the brief graphic nudity as well as violence, drug use, and language. And the internet already has its own thoughts that King Shark is going to get a little up close and personal with the folks at home.
I feel like if it's James Gunn, you know it's going to be something like that, or it's going to be like a Rock Monsters or something, you know?
Yeah. Like James Gunn is not the type that he's not an '80s film director in the sense that he would throw up gratuitous TNA to shake up the audience.
What if it's Cena?
Oh my God! Then the movie's gonna break 200 million first weekend. You just put that on the posters.
You start going through it, and you think of the most likely stuff, like Margot Robbie, not going to be her because that's been done. King Shark,
but also
yes.
It's got to be King Shark or Peacemaker.
I'm almost willing to lean on John Cena in Peacemaker.
Well, yeah, because he gets that wonderful line in one of the R-rated trailers. Yeah, the beach cleanup line. Look up the red band, guys. We can't say this on the radio.
Huh, that's interesting. All right.
Hey, he's built enough that it plays as a joke, but at the same time, the audience will just.
Well, you think about it though. You think about John Cena and the parts he's had and the things he's done so far. There hasn't been a whole lot that he's said no to.
No, and that's part of what's so fun is he can do playing with fire and then go do a Suicide Squad movie and a series. Like, dude can do anything. And it's just another case of a wrestler being a real fun actor.
All right. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joins me every Friday on the show to talk about movies. Mike, you have yourself a good weekend, okay?
And you as well, B-sox. Oh, Knives Out. Cast John Cena in your sequel.
Didn't you say Dave Bautista was going to be in there?
Exactly.
What if there was a line in there that it was, don't I know you from somewhere?
I can't see it.
It took me a second.